Hello everyone, this is Sinema77, horror cult film lover. I'm back with another video. Today we got a movie review, and yeah, I just picked this one up here at Zia Records. And even though I know it's a Severin release, but even though I know that Severin put this out on Blu-ray, I ended up getting this on DVD mainly because they gave it to me for almost nothing. The movie we're talking about is Emanuelle and Francoise. The movie came out in 1975. It's directed by Joe D'Amato, who, if you know Italian horror movies, Italian cinema, things like that, yeah, you're definitely gonna know who Joe D'Amato is. This guy's done plenty cult horror films and sleaze films and things like that. And the movie is co-written by D'Amato and Bruno Mattei. It stars George Eastman, who Italian horror movie fans, you all remember him from stuff like, I think, wasn't he in Porno Holocaust? I want to say he was. But Anthropophagus, Absurd, so many movies. Yeah, he's in some Fulci stuff too. I won't say like New York Ripper. I think he had a little part in there. Anyway, though, yeah, George Eastman. So, yeah, and the movie stars Rosemarie Lint as Emanuelle. Now, here's the thing. I'm not entirely sure about the whole Emanuelle series. I need to look into that. But yeah, there is a series of films, and I believe they were based on erotic novels, about this character named Emanuelle, who basically, I think the stories were always usually about, here's this woman, she travels the world, she's a famous supermodel, and she goes all over the world, and she's always having all these different sexual, erotic experiences and things like that. And they made a trilogy of movies at first, and those movies starred Sylvia Crystal. And this one was like an Italian follow-up. But this one here, it's definitely different from some of the other stories in that, now the story pretty much concerns Emanuelle and her sister Francoise. Now Francoise, very much like Emanuelle, she's, she's a super, famous model, and she's, doing all these sexy pictures and things like that. But the character seems, even though she's a bit talkative, she seems like a genuinely nice and sweet girl. And, the movie opens, she's doing a modeling session. Before I get too into this, I better go ahead and admit there's probably going to be some spoilers in here. But so anyway, so she's, she's done for the day. She's put in a hard day's work. She's ready to go. And, she's complimenting the photographer on, how many pictures he was able to take, and, how efficiently he was able to work and stuff, and that they can just go home for the rest of the day. So happy about that. So, she's stopping off, she's getting her man Carlo, she's, getting him some drink, getting him some cigarettes and things like that. And so she's heading on home, and, she comes to their apartment. She finds Carlo sleeping with another woman. And of course, she's upset about this. She feels betrayed and hurt. And Carlo pretty much just really gives her the super cold shoulder and just tells her, it was inevitable. We were going to break up at some point. And, just pretty much tells her to take a hike, and kicks her out. So apparently she's so distraught by this whole thing that, and it's kind of irritating. I'll get to that in a minute. But apparently she's so distraught by this whole thing that, it's like she ends up committing suicide. Pretty much like throws herself in front of a train. Then her sister Emanuelle, she comes, to identify the body, and she realizes, yes, it is the body of her sister, Francoise. And so she's upset. She's mourning, and she remembers all these good things about her sister. And, like there's one part of the movie, she remembers her sister going race car driving, and, they had fun doing that. And, just being, genuinely fun, good natured girls and stuff. But she also she starts remembering that how bad Carlo treated her. And it's revealed that during the time of their relationship, like Carlo, he would exploit her love and her affection for him. And that was the thing. It's like, it was kind of the thing. She couldn't live with him, but she couldn't live without him either. And that's what kind of made it irritating, because, it's one of those things. You see that the girl Francoise, clearly she's a woman who's got all kinds of things going for her, but that's real life. That's what happens. It's like She's got, incredible beauty, incredible talent. She could go as far as she wanted to. Plenty of men and women too who would, drop at her feet and love her and treat her better than she's ever been treated in her life and things like that. So, so it's aggravating to see that, she would go for this guy who just completely treats her lower than dirt and pretty much, throws her life away because of him. And, but it's revealed that, during the time that they were together, like this guy, Carlo, he's completely irresponsible. He's always out of money. He's got a bad gambling problem. He's always, getting in way over his head. And majority of the time, the way he always gets out of trouble is he always ends up basically prostituting Francoise out. Like at one point he's taking her out into the countryside and he's telling her that he's got this part in a movie and she's, really happy for him. And she's, being the loving, supportive girlfriend. And she's talking about, wow, that's going to be great. I would love to come and see you on the set. And he's all like, no, I don't want you to come and see me. It'll just make me nervous and things like that. And we're going to go and we're going to meet this guy. He's like the director or the producer or whatnot. So they're kind of like at this abandoned kind of, ruins of a building and they meet this guy and, and so, Carlos tells, Francoise, I forgot my cigarettes, they're back at the car. I'll be right back. And so of course she's a little nervous and the director, producer guy, he's all like, oh, don't worry. It'll be okay. Come on, let me show you around. And so he takes her into the building and basically just leaps on her, it's like gets on her, starts, getting her clothes down and starts raping her pretty much. And she can see, through a broken out window, she could see outside that Carlo, he's standing by a car, smoking a cigarette, and he pretty much, lured her there so she could be attacked so that this guy, basically, he's paying his debts using her body to do it. So, and then we learn through other series that at one point he's gambling with a couple of guys, and these guys just come off as really gross and weird and pervy and so he's getting ready to he thinks that he's won. They're playing cards and he thinks he's won, but then the guy tells him, no, you didn't win, but you know what, if you want the money you can earn it. And because they're both like looking at Francoise, she's just in the living room looking at her pictures and just kind of doing her thing, minding her own business. But she looks she's not dressed like skanky or anything, but she looks very pretty, and she's just wearing like a t-shirt and skirt. And, she doesn't look, she doesn't look scuzzy or anything like that. Just looks like a really pretty girl, just sitting in the living room, minding her own business. And so they basically make a deal with him that the way he gets to keep the money is that, they get to watch him have sex with her. And so he goes in and, she's like, hey, did it go okay? And all this. And so he starts kissing her and getting on top of her and everything. And he gets her to lay on her stomach on the floor. And then she sees the guy standing in the doorway. And so she's trying to get away and she's, crying and pleading with him not to do this. But he's not listening. So he pulls up her skirt, pulls down her panties and, starts going on her and everything. She's begging him to stop. And, meanwhile, while this is going on, the two pervs are watching this whole thing, getting their jollies and everything. And so he's just kind of doing all these horrible things to her. And at one point, he takes her to dinner and he's telling her, and he's all upset. He's just in there just kind of being moody and not talking much. And she's happy as can be. And she's like, oh my God, I thought you didn't love me anymore. And I'm glad that we can be together and all this other kind of stuff. And she's like, I want to shout from the rooftops how much I love you and things like that. And so he's like, so you're willing to prove to me you'll do anything because you love me. And she's like, I would. I'd do anything for you. And he's all like, yeah, the problem is I owe a lot of money. I mean, we're talking a shit ton of money. And, these guys, they want their money right now and all this other kind of stuff. And she's all like, well, maybe I could sell some of my jewelry or something like, no, he's like, I owe this much money and they want it yesterday. And so he's like, there's only one way I could see us getting out of this. And basically he ends up making her do pornographic movies. And so, showing these kind of like, supposed to be kind of like stag movies, because it's all black and white, silent, like an old stag movie. And so, like, at one point, there's like a scene she's supposed to be, she's supposed to be like mopping the floor and stuff. And this doctor, I guess, comes up behind her and he just, starts going to town on her and all these things. And so it's like, Emanuelle finds out that it's living this lifestyle. Everything just kind of led up to her sister. And then when he throws her sister away like trash, that she decides she can't take anymore. And she, life is not worth living. And so she takes her own life. And so Emanuelle decides she really wants to get revenge on this guy. So what she ends up doing is she goes and she starts kind of seducing him, kind of luring him in. And at one point, she takes him to the beach and they're swimming and, she's wearing a top, it's see-through. And also in case, I should have mentioned this right at the beginning of the video. If anybody's wondering about, dude, is there nudity in this movie? Plenty of nudity, lots of it. Some male nudity, but if you want female nudity, this movie's got you covered. So there you go. But anyway, so at first she's kind of toying with him and she's kind of, doing these little things to seduce him. And ultimately they're at the beach. She gets into her, she's going to her car and she's like, I'm going to get some clothes and just, get my cigarettes, will you? And so she goes, jumps in the car, throws his clothes out and leaves him there. And he sees this. He's like, what the hell? What a bitch and all this kind of stuff. So later on that night, he's dancing with this girl in a club. And I forget the girl's name. But anyway, so Emanuelle comes in with this other guy, and they start dancing. They're kind of working their way to the floor. And ultimately, Emanuelle gets with Carlo, and the other guy starts dancing with the other girl. And so she's laughing and being coy and, haha, are you mad at me? Oh, you could have a little bit of fun and all this kind of stuff. And so he's all like, yeah, I'm a little mad, but I'll get over it and stuff. And so she's all like, well, come on over to my place tomorrow and I'll make it up to you and that sort of thing. So he goes to her place the next day and he's about ready to jump her the minute, walks through the door. And she's wearing this, talk about low cut dress. I mean, seriously. But she invites him in and she's all like, hey, and he gives her an apple and she starts, talking about like, forbidden fruit and how it should be eaten slowly and all this kind of stuff. And he's like, why prolong the inevitable and things like that. And she's all like, tell you what, just relax. I'm going to go upstairs. I got a little something for you. And, I'll be right back, make yourself a drink and all this stuff. So, he has a drink and, immediately he starts getting dizzy and he, realizes he's been drugged. And so he pretty much passes out. Emanuelle comes down. She finds him that, he's passed out. And then she, turns out she's got this secret room, that she operates with a lampshade. And she opens this door, going into the secret room. She pulls him in there and she chains him up. She's got like a pole in the middle of the room. She chains him up to the pole and she leaves him in there. And so he wakes up, he realizes now he's pretty much been kidnapped. And so Emanuelle, she comes in to feed him and he tries to attack her, but she reminds him that, hey, if you attack me, if you kill me and I die, that's it. You're stuck here and nobody's going to find you and you're going to starve to death. And it's a terrible way to go. You'll die of thirst, you'll die of starvation, things like that. So he ultimately decides he's not going to do anything. And so she starts doing these. What she ends up doing is like at one point she rigs her car to make it seem like there's something wrong with it. And so she takes the car to the mechanic and she's kind of flirty with him and she's telling him to, she needs him to fix her car like right away. And at first he's kind of annoyed with her. He's like, oh, come on, lady, I got a bunch of stuff to do and everything else. And so, she's like flirting with him. And like at one point he gets underneath the car. So she bends down so he can see up her dress. And she's like, come on, yeah, just go ahead and work on it and bring it over to my place tomorrow. And so the next day he brings the car over and he's telling her that like he found these bolts in the car and stuff. And so she decides to reward him by giving him, a drink, which she, accidentally on purpose spills on him. And then, of course she takes his clothes off, and at first, the guy, he's like, "Oh my God, lady, you don't have to do that. I'm really nervous," and all this stuff. She's like, "You're a good looking guy. You got no reason to be nervous." And so she starts having sex with the guy, and Carlo is made to watch it. And so there's that. And then another situation is, she goes to, she's at, I guess it's like a country club, and she's, sitting there and, lounging lounging on a beach chair and things like that. And this girl who was with Carlo, they were dancing in the club when Emanuelle and this other guy came in. She comes up and she starts questioning Emanuelle, like, have you seen Carlo? What happened to him and stuff like that? And she's kind of like, "Oh, he just wanted to sleep with me, and I just told him to go off. And well, it's weird because nobody's seen Carlo." And she's like, "Well, I haven't seen him, and I don't care," and all this kind of stuff. And she's like, "Hey, I do painting and stuff like that. I would love it if you would pose for me, and it'd be great to paint you and stuff. And come on over to my place." And so this girl brings another girl. So you got three girls getting into this, pretty erotic lesbian love scene, and they're kind of talking about how, like, "Oh, Carlo, we don't need him, and we don't need men, and we got each other." And so they're having sex and enjoying each other and things like that. And Carlo, on the one hand, he's made to realize he's not the end all be all stud that he thinks he is. He's not the catch that he always thought he was. To hear women talk about, like, they don't really think much of him. And he's, so yeah. So then she's basically, Emanuelle, she starts giving him injections. She's, injecting him with like hallucinogenic drugs. And at one point she's having folks over for dinner, and he starts hallucinating that, like they're being cannibals. They're eating, body parts and things like that. And he's also hallucinating that Emanuelle is laying on the table, and that they got pretty much everybody's naked, and the girls, they come up, they take a wine bottle and insert the wine bottle into her. And you don't realize this movie gets into some pretty freaky stuff. And so then, she injects him again. And, also too, he's hallucinating that the girls are coming in and that they're having a kind of like an orgy kind of a thing. And then she comes along, she injects him with something else. And, so he's like, "What is that?" And, she's like, "Don't worry about it. It's okay." So she injects him with some more stuff. And he hallucinates that he cuts her up with a meat cleaver. And then, we're getting to the finale of the film where she comes up, and it's never explained how. You never see it. It's never shown how, but somehow or another, Carlo manages to get free of the chains and the locks that she had him in. And so she comes in, and she's got this tray, and she's giving him this speech about how at first she wanted to kill him, but she's not going to kill him. And she gives him the speech about how, she asked him, "Do you remember Francoise? And she was a wonderful girl, and you ended up destroying her innocence. You ended up destroying her, her ability to love and to trust and to care. And, you took advantage of her, and it didn't mean anything to you," and so on. And, yeah. And because of that, I'm going to take away the thing you cherish most. I'm going to castrate you, basically. And she's like, "That's why I was bringing these guys here to have sex. That's why I was bringing these girls in here having all these sexual adventures, because that's going to be your punishment for the rest of your life. You're going to have these things going on in your head, and you'll never be able to have any form of release." And like I said, it's never really explained how or why, but Carlo somehow manages to get free of the chain, and he's, following her around the house, and the lights go out, and, he finds a meat cleaver, and just as she's about ready to reach the door, he comes up, attacks her with the meat cleaver. Turns out, well, there were neighbors. They heard the ruckus, and they call the police. So he's getting ready to leave. And just as he's getting ready to leave, police pull up. And so he, goes and he hides in the secret room. He pushes the door closed. And so the cops come in, and they're checking, and they think that, they're doing their investigation. They think it's a sex crime and all this other kind of stuff. And they end up, they see the lampshade, and what they end up doing is they end up locking it. So Carlo is completely locked into the secret room. And so he's banging on the door, screaming, raising hell. He wants out. He wants out. But, and they're saying they can't hear him. They can't hear him. So they're like, yeah, we're done. And, yeah, this place is secluded. Nobody's going to be around for months. So, they leave. And basically the movie ends with Carlo locked in the room, and he's going to die of starvation. He's going to die of thirst. And that's pretty much where the movie ends. Pretty sleazy, graphic in some areas, even though like the cannibal scene, the kind of like the body parts look the special effects look a little fake there. I mean, it's gross in context, but still it's kind of, I don't know. But George Eastman, he plays a smarmy slime ball pretty well. I got to give him that. Yeah, the acting in here is pretty decent. It's a good idea for a movie, and it's different on the a woman taking revenge on a man plot. So yeah, it's pretty good. I liked it. I would just say though, I think the female characters in this movie tend to just be a tad bit irritating in the sense that like I said earlier, you got Francoise. She's this beautiful girl. She's capable. She could have the whole world at her feet if she wanted, but she throws it all away on this guy who doesn't care about her. And rather than build herself back up when he dumps her, rather than build herself back up and realizing she has so much potential, she pretty much just throws everything away and ends her own life. And also to Emanuelle, it's kind of irritating in the sense that, you kind of understand what her revenge plot is, but at the same time, it's just, you kind of just wish she would have won in the end, because Carlo is such a dick. He's such a scumbag. You want to see him go down, and just the fact that it doesn't come to the way it should, or the way you think it should. But at the same time though too, it's like, well, Carlo, he still gets his comeuppance at the end of the movie. But overall, I'd say it's actually not a bad little watch. It's got some interesting ideas behind it. It's pretty good. Graphic nudity, like I said, you got all kinds of, graphic female nudity and stuff. You got some male nudity in here too, if that's your thing. It just depends. But yeah, like I said, it's actually not a bad little flick. It's an interesting idea and an interesting take on a revenge film. And I would say if you want something kind of really, fun, but also perverted at the same time, I say give it a shot. So that's pretty much it. And, like I said, maybe one day if I come across this on Blu-ray, at a real good marked down price, I'll upgrade. But I mean, come on, the price I got for the DVD, like I said, they pretty much gave it to me almost. So I can't complain. So anyway, this will do for now. And actually, honestly, I got to admit, because usually I'm a Blu-ray snob, and I gotta be honest with you, I thought this was not going to look good on DVD. Actually, it looks really good for standard definition. It looks really good, good picture quality on it. So, but anyway, that's pretty much going to do it. So, if anybody took the time to watch this, I thank you for doing it. I appreciate you for doing it. I honestly hope you enjoyed this review. If you did, please like and subscribe. And I'm going to be trying to get back into the swing of things, and do more regular uploads and things like that. And so anyway, yeah. Take care. Have a good night, and I'll see you later. Thanks again for watching, and bye-bye.